So today I have my good friend. You guys heard about her in video one, Tanisha. Tanisha and I have been friends since grade 9.
Grade 9.
Woodlands. Shout out to anybody that went to Woodlands. Grade 9, and Tanisha is a surgical nurse. She's been a nurse for how many years?
This is my 16th year.
16. She's
16.
been a nurse for as long as Kiana has been born.
Wow.
Yeah. And not only knowing Tanisha as a friend, but when it came to doing the newborn shoots and actually before that, the maternity shoot, and finding the experiences that Tanisha was going through during her pregnancies. I want to say for myself, you're the only client that I know that has battled through one and two. But I'll let you share a little bit of your story.
Where do you want to begin?
You can start with baby number one.
Baby number one. So I'm a new mom of 2. Baby number 1 was 7 years ago. Baby number 1 was okay, even though I have a surgical experience. I mean, not surgical experience. Even though I have the surgical background and being a nurse, I think most of the time, a lot of people believe that once you're in a profession, you know the entire profession.
You know all the answers.
So if you're a nurse, you know you're an L&D nurse, you're an ICU nurse, you're an emergency nurse. No, you kind of stick to your niche and understand your niche unless you go to different areas.
Yeah.
And when I had my son, I mean, the experience was okay, but it was a lot of voluntelling. You're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And I didn't really have a voice, as much of a voice as I had with my second child.
Okay. Do you feel that's because you knew less with your first?
It's not that I would say it was a new experience.
Okay.
But on the other hand, because of what was happening, I was considered high risk. There was a lot of things that were happening, and I was on the sidelines. I was on the sidelines and kind of just letting the experts feed me what I thought was appropriate, and I did not rebuttal, just for the fact that
they're the experts.
They are the experts, and I'm a surgical nurse, and a lot was happening.
Okay.
A lot was happening. In hindsight, I should have bullhorned more than I did. But that's okay. I mean, that experience was okay, but in that experience, having the shoe on the other foot, yeah. You know, they have that saying, who feels it knows, right? Being a patient was an eye-opening experience. After having my son, it gave me a lot of time to reflect and ask myself, do I practice this way? Do my patients hear me, feel me, see me in this way, in this light? When I come into the room, what's my presence? When I come into the room, is it here? Am I rushing them? You know, are they being heard? And it really gave me the opportunity to have a do-over and practice differently after my son, to be that voice, to advocate, to champion more than I have, because I've always been that advocate and champion for my patients, but to do it more and allow them to have the voice that they may have believed is suffocated or stifled, right?
In a little bit of a nutshell, of course, without having to give all the details, but what did you go through with experience number 1?
Just, you know, as I said, a lot of voluntelling, like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Even with the breastfeeding, I had my son. And when I had my son, after that, I called the nurse in the middle of the night. And I said, I'd like to feed him. She's like, I'm going to just show you one time, you know, with the, how do I explain? With the assumption that I had known because I'm a nurse. I never breastfeed nobody before. I never read no material before. I never read nothing. So I was just like, okay. And she just jammed him on my breast.
And that was it.
Brethren, this hurts. And that experience turned into my son becoming dehydrated because I thought he was being breastfed. When I brought him home, he looked like hungry. He was so limp, hungry. And I'm like, what's happening? And thank God I had made that doctor's appointment 2 days later, because if it was 3 or 4 days later after discharge, it would have been a different scenario. So it was like that. It was kind of like, you should know this
because
you've had 9, or not even, you've had 9 months to prepare, but not everybody wants to Dr. Google themselves. A lot of people are Dr. Googling themselves.
Listen, I remember the day you said to me, do not go on Google when you are sick.
No,
I was like,
because you are going to feel every ailment. You're going to feel every pain down in your toe.
Everything.
And you're going to feel everything turn up to the max because you've read it. And half the time you're not understanding it. And I find that this generation and this culture or these folks, sometimes myself included, we get so wrapped up not looking at the context of things, just reading it and not digging deeper.
And just running with it.
And it's like, it's verbal diarrhea. And it's like, do you even know what you're talking about? So you really have to give yourself enough grace to kind of understand that it's okay to ask questions. It's okay not to be fearful, but it's always in those hindsight moments, the looking back moments, the reflective moments that you're like, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. Kind of like when you want to fight somebody.
And when you have the argument, and then 5 minutes later, you're like,
not even. You go home. You go home, and you're like, yo,
should I kick her down?
Drape. Drape up, right? But thank God for saving my life. I don't drape anybody anymore. The draping is done. I don't collar nobody no more. I'm gonna fight nobody. I'm not even have no ring to fight nobody again. So yeah, you just have to give yourself enough grace to know that it's okay to ask questions.
Yeah,
it's okay. It's okay.
What would you say your biggest differences with baby 2? So one thing I do want to mention is you were on bed rest for both pregnancies
for a good
majority,
a good length of time. From 2 months in, so bed rest for like 7 months.
How was that? Listen, I would be calling Tanisha. Tanisha is not allowed to get up, stand up on her foot. Tanisha, what are you doing? May I wipe down the wall? Right? I changed the curtain.
Don't say that. I don't want my gynae to ever watch this and realize that I was disobedient. But
it must be hard.
It's hard because you watch seasons change. You watch life events happen. You see the world happening around you and you can't participate. So it is a perfect opportunity for depression to manifest and to fester, ideas to creep in, doubt, all the things that the enemy would want you to believe is okay. A lot of woe is me moments, but it's also a great opportunity to prepare yourself and to reel into the next chapter, which is having the baby.
When they actually arrive.
Right, when they actually arrive. Yeah. However, it's very lonely. A lot of people are like, I can't wait for bed rest. And it's like, brethren, when my bed rest was strict. So
was it more strict with baby number 1 or baby number 2?
Baby number 1, I thought was strict when I had to go to I was only allowed to shower for 10 minutes a day. I was in the bed at all times. When baby number 2, she was like, no,
nothing.
My husband created a room for me upstairs. I wasn't allowed to, I was only allowed to go up and down the stairs once a day. So one flight up, one flight down for baby number 2. I had a fridge in the room, the same showering 10 minutes a day. Baby number 1 was okay because I was in a condo, so I didn't have to do the stairs up, stairs down.
Everything was more accessible.
However, it was crazy. It was crazy. I was only allowed to go to doctor's appointments. Baby number 1 was hard because I was getting married. And she said, you're not allowed, you can't get married. Yeah. I had to cancel all the plans, the church, the everything, the photographer, all those deposits were gone. And with baby number 1, she's like, you know what? I will allow you to get married as long as you're sitting down on a chair. So for the entire ceremony, I was just sitting down on a chair. It was hard, but it was worth it because I knew that I didn't want to jeopardize
the health of the baby
or myself.
Or yourself. Very big point right there.
Or myself, because that's another thing. I think that social media has glamorized pregnancy. Everybody, like, I see it and I see outfits and smiles and what I've been through.
Completely different.
Girl, I couldn't even put on no outfit, much less take picture and a pose and a smile and acting like everything is okay, right? The whole belly was bust. Like, by like Dread. Let me tell you, you know, by like month 7, the whole of your lower area is
Gone.
boss.
Swell.
Swell up. See? Every bathroom, your bathroom. And it's like, dude, it's this much pee.
The worst when you wake up in the middle of the night.
Right. Listen, you ever go to the bathroom when you're pregnant and it's like you pee and then you turn around, pull everything up and manage to get into the bed and you have to go back and
Pee again.
But me, I tell you right now, Tena, sponsor me. Okay? Tena. Me wear a Tena till me full.
Wait. For the people that don't know, what is a Tena?
Depends. The pull-ups.
The diapause.
Me pull it up. It was so bad. I shouldn't even lie. It wasn't that bad. It was, I used Tena to the point where, my husband got the box from Costco.
Wholesale.
Yo, who's going to Walmart? Them there are no.
We need big packages.
Yo, boss. Tena, Medea,
Wow.
I'm here for you. A young woman who's used it and can I trust your product.
You can speak on
You
it.
can't speak on it.
Helped you.
It whole fluid.
What would you say was the biggest challenge for you when it came to being pregnant and not maybe experiencing some things that you wanted to do? So I know for baby number 1, we did your maternity shoot. I came to your condo.
Yeah.
We set up in the condo, and it was an experience for myself because I had to make sure she was getting breaks in between. So me being the person I am, are you okay? Are you sure? Do we need a break? Do we need to stop? But again, because you are my friend from grade 9, I didn't want you to miss out on that maternity experience. So I was like, come, make it work. We can do it.
Right. I mean, I didn't get to do a maternity shoot this time.
Yeah.
But I was able to do some photos afterwards. And I
Mhm.
believe that time capsuling life in some aspect is important.
Mhm.
So even though I didn't get to showcase the stomach and do everything that I got to do with my first one,
Mhm.
I was at least able to capture those moments.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I did because I almost died.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my daughter wouldn't have known me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I almost lost my life.
And do you want to share how you almost
Yeah,
lost your
I
life?
almost lost my life. So the second pregnancy has definitely opened up the lens to things that may have been brewing from the first pregnancy.
Mhm.
When I had my son, a lot of things were happening to my body, and I've been cataloging it for many years.
Mhm.
When I go back into my phone and I look at the photos of things that were happening to my body, reactions and so forth, I've been documenting this from 2017. After I had my daughter, everything was okay, but it wasn't okay.
It wasn't.
I had her on a Monday. No, I had her on a Tuesday,
Mhm.
and everything went well. Went home the Wednesday.
Mhm.
When I went home the Wednesday, I just didn't feel right in the evening.
Yeah.
And then Thursday onward, I was in the hospital 5 nights in a row. Well, hospital visits. So
Mhm.
it wasn't one duration of stay. So it was,
You went
I
multiple
went multiple times. I
times.
went 5 separate times to the hospital because the first thing that happened when I got home was my head was hurting me. And all I could think about was, I just had a baby.
Why am I feeling like
Why
this?
am I feeling like this? I'm not supposed to feel like this.
Mhm.
And I kind of had a foothold because I had that medical background. You're not supposed to be feeling this way.
Mhm.
And I started to diary and catalog every single thing that was happening in the event that I died,
Mhm.
because my husband would know how to explain
What
what was
happened?
happened.
Mhm.
And I went to the hospital multiple times, headache. It was a series of events that was happening. I became, for a moment, temporarily paralyzed. I was involuntarily urinating myself.
Mhm.
That's where the Tena help holds.
Tena.
Big up yourself.
Mhm.
So I was peeing myself. I was doing all types of things that wasn't me. I couldn't even go down the stairs. I had to scooch on my bum. And I was like, what's happening? And long story short, the 5th visit to the Emerge, I was like, I'm not leaving. I literally packed a backpack that night. And I said to myself, I'm not leaving.
Mhm. You
And
guys
then
need to figure this
you
out.
have to figure it out. I'm a part of a marginalized demographic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a woman. I'm Black,
Mm-hmm.
right? I just had a baby. Why am I being turned away? There was even one night I called the paramedics.
Mm-hmm.
When I called the paramedics that night, it's the Thanksgiving weekend. I called the paramedics. They said there's no ambulance for you. And if you are to get an ambulance, it's 2 hours away. And if somebody's more critical, which isn't, it's just the truth,
they're going
to
you.
reroute them, redirect them to that person. And my neighbor and my husband had to lift me up,
Mm-hmm.
put me in a vehicle, and drive me to Emerge.
Mm-hmm. And that's crazy because, like you said, you went 5 times. Why? Like, you would think to yourself, like you said, you just had a baby. Visit number 1, okay, maybe. Visit number 2, okay. But I feel like once you got to visit number 3, something's going on. Like, let's look into this.
Let's dig deeper. And that put me in a spot where I was just like, I understood both worlds. I understood being sick.
Mm-hmm.
I understood what was happening as a patient.
Yeah.
But I also understood the flip side of it, where the shoe was on the other foot, where the healthcare system is dramatically, tremendously strained.
Suffering.
Mm-hmm. It's suffering. And in the midst of the chaos, believe it or not, I found silent moments in the midst of those hospital visits. It was like I could see myself as those nurses.
As the nurse.
I could see myself running around. I could see myself frustrated. I could see myself putting on the smile, yet still holding my bladder because I have to tend to A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I saw myself in the chaos, but I have to say we are going through a tremendous strain on our healthcare system. And this is where a lot of the times, most of us, this is aside from being in a marginalized group and whatever, mm-hmm. we're losing our lives.
Yep.
Because there's nobody there to advocate.
Mm-hmm. There's nobody there there's not enough people to do the job.
That
it seems like people are overworked.
That too, but sometimes, and you'll notice it, you might get annoyed by it, but there are folks that the louder they are, the more attention they get. And that's the stance I'm on right now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel loud up the thing, because it's like, if I'm not loud, I'm gonna get lost. And I can't afford to get lost.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't loud, I wouldn't be speaking to you. I nearly lost my life.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank God that never happened.
Girl.
God, we with a ball. So thank God. God.
Right?
Thank you.
At all times, like, you have to get, and I keep on reminding myself through trial and tribulation, like, this is an opportunity. And I hope that this message, this dialogue that we're having reaches mm-hmm. somebody and touches somebody. I'm not saying to go out there and be barbaric.
Yeah, but advocate for yourself.
Right? That's
if
not
you
the
know
goal.
something
Because you know
is
some
wrong.
people go out there and go on bad and said, Tanisha told me to advocate. I never tell you to do it like that.
Tanisha told me to fight.
I never told you to bring no blowtorch and no bullhorn and you're going to, like, you're in a dance hall video what your Sean Paul 2001 give it a light, your blowtorch and your lighter. I never said to do that.
Go in there.
I said to be firm, assertive.
Yeah.
And, no doctor Googling, but let them know, I think something's wrong. Help me here.
Mm-hmm. I think a very important thing that you said as well is documenting. Because even with small little sicknesses we have, and you go to the doctor and then you leave the doctor and you're like, oh, I forget to tell the doctor something ended hurt me, or I forgot to this.
And I think sorry to cut you, for mm-hmm. our culture as well, because a lot of the times when I know some people have what them have until a funeral, and then it's like, dread, you had that all along. Mm-hmm. I didn't know you had all those lady issues. Mm-hmm. I mean, never know say a cancer take your life. Mm-hmm. It's until you hear somebody whispering in the corridor that so and so had la 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 la, and it's like the family history is so important, because it makes it easier to diagnose and treat some of the things that we're having.
Yeah.
Right?
Because if you know what's happened to past family members, this may be why you're feeling the way you're feeling.
But why is it so easy for us to catalog every day, okay, my water or my tea or whatever, I went out, or my ring or whatever, or my mm-hmm. outfit of the day, mm-hmm. but it's hard to catalog real life, serious experiences.
How we're feeling.
So we need to prioritize what we're doing with ourselves. Like, some of those things are so not necessary.
Yeah.
And cataloging, photography, and our health diagnosis, and, just what's going on with health is important.
Yeah.
It's important. It leaves that roadmap, that blueprint for our kids, right? Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. Before I let you go, I would say, with your nursing background and experience, mm-hmm. what do you think could be a change that would really benefit the nursing system? What do we need?
I think we need to mean what we say and say what we mean. It's very easy to come on and talk, but I also think we need to dig deeper in ourselves and find that little that advocating streak and not be afraid, because it's always the people that kind of go out and do things that are different that get ridiculed. You have to stand by what you mean. And sometimes you're not going to have that support. Sometimes you have to do the crawling before somebody else can walk or run. So for me, this might be my crawling phase, and it's hard to champion and push through, but doing all this championing and this advocacy, it will help others
For sure.
break through, right?
For
Just like
sure.
our Martin Luther Kings and so on and so forth, and people that we've seen in history that were still struggling, but there were the voices that were there before. Also, I think the healthcare system needs to shape up. We need to shape up. We need to shape up the health. We cannot have nurses making change when we don't have the backative.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The government plays a huge role, and everybody's watching it unfold.
I
Everybody
feel like we're all watching
we're
it
all
crumble.
watching it unfold, but we also need to make sure those resources and that support is in place. We cannot do it on our own. We can always kumbaya and hold hands, but we need those other those other elements, those factors of the healthcare system, government policy, all those things to kind of play a role and help us propel into the greatness that we know healthcare can be. Other than that, it's just going to crumble.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a free for all, which we can somewhat see it's
happening already.
We can see a lot of things happening. It's not for me to speak on, but it's for you to dig deep. I would just leave you with this: dig deep and champion for what is right. Yeah. Champion for what is right. If that's the most important thing. Champion for what is right. And if your life is important, it's nothing short of championing for it.
I agree. One life, right?
One.
That's all we have.
One.
No cat. Ain't no 9 lives over here. Just one. Thank you, Tanisha. Thank you for coming. I'm very glad you're still here.
I'm glad I'm alive. To God be the glory.
To God be the glory.
To God be the glory.